What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of my commute home. I got a question today that a buddy of mine asked if he should do. He's started a new 5x5 workout, which I would recommend. You know, lifting heavy compound movements. It's really good for you. Good for the hormonal system. Good for the skeletal muscular system. It's good for everything. 5x5. Recommend it. But anyway, he started that, and he says that his knees hurt when he squats, and so he was wondering if there are any alternatives to squatting. And the short answer is no, because squatting is king, especially heavy compound squats. There's no other movement will burn more calories, no other movement will build more muscle, no other movement will tax the nervous system, no other movement will be as good as a heavy squat. But I think that's not the issue of finding a exercise that can be put in place of the squat. The big thing is the pain that you're feeling. So if you feel a measure of pain when you squat, when you deadlift, if you overhead press, any type of movement, there's two reasons on why you would be feeling pain in that. The main one, the secondary one is probably because you're doing that exercise incorrectly. But the source of the issue is probably a muscular imbalance. Especially with squatting, most people have a muscular imbalance of their glutes not firing properly, and their quads are too tight. So the muscles on the front of the knee are too tight, and that's why you're experiencing pain. If you're experiencing pain while you squat, most times it's because your kneecap or your patella is being pulled too close to those two bones there that make up your knee, and that is due to the quads being too tight. Paul Chek, I've quoted him before. He's a doctor. He's got a doctorate. He's a really knowledgeable guy. I really like him. You can check out some of his stuff on YouTube, and I know he has a couple books out. But he says, if you can't, you must. And that's a great way to live by, especially with fitness. If you have a movement that you feel like you just can't do, you should be doing that movement, because that means that there's something wrong with your skeletal muscular system. There's some imbalance. So God designed our bodies to move a certain way. We have these things called instantaneous axis of rotation, right? The elbow is supposed to glide a certain way. The knees are supposed to move a certain way. You can kind of think of your joints as something that has a bunch of different ropes attached to it, and it's supposed to be in one place. And if there's a muscular imbalance and one side is shorter, it gets pulled off its axis, and that's why you experience pain. And so if you are constantly avoiding squats and you're constantly dancing around this imbalance that you have, that will just further facilitate that imbalance that you have. If you're never training your brain and your central and peripheral nervous system to push and pull a certain way, to activate certain muscles, that will always be a problem for you. So if you don't address the problem, it will always be the problem. And if you go to a doctor, what they're going to say is, oh, okay, take a couple days off, take a couple weeks off, and that is the exact opposite of what you need to do. What you need to do is find the problem and address it. Find the muscular imbalance and address it. If you look at a baby as they're learning to walk and to move and things, if you watch the way that they squat with perfect form. And that's because they haven't had, years and years of sitting, right? We sit, we hunched over, we do repetitious movement, and we screw our bodies up by developing neuromuscular pathways and muscular imbalances. It makes it so that your joints don't move the way that they should, your muscles don't activate the way that they should. So if you have pain while squatting, I would say start by foam rolling or stretching your quads, and your calves are a huge thing. The other thing is activating your glutes, doing glute bridges, weighted glute bridges, getting those to activate, especially right before you do a movement, addressing the muscle imbalance in 2 ways. One, stretching the overactive or chronically tight muscle, and 2, activating the loose muscle or the muscle that's not firing as much. I'll give you an example. So if you experience pain in your anterior delt, your front shoulder, while you are doing bench press, my guess is you are not tucking your shoulder blades into your back pockets while you're doing that, and you're having this kind of forward motion. And the reason that is because your chest is too tight. So get in a doorway, stretch your chest by putting your palm and your elbow up against the door and turning away, foam rolling with a lacrosse ball or a foam roller or a medicine ball, something like that, to loosen the chest, and then doing external rotation exercises to pull the joints to where they need to be is going to help you tremendously. Because we have all of these muscular imbalances, our body starts moving in a faulty recruitment patterns, and if you don't address them, you'll just continually get worse and worse and worse. On the flip side as well, if you take some time off, it's just going to do that same thing. So really the only option, if you actually want to get better or improve yourself, is to find the muscular imbalance and address it, as well as get your brain to fire those specific muscles, stretching those muscles out. There's always a rec right here the past like week and a half. That's weird, that exact same spot. Anyway, so I hope that helps. There is no substitute for squats. The squats are king, you know, deadlifts are queen. They are the big movements, and if you can't do them, it's because you're fricked up and you should address it. I've been trying to squat a little bit more. I had osteomyelitis, and I know that a lot of you know that. It's just a rare bone infection in my low back that limits my mobility. I'm still working on getting it back. But if you have the ability to squat, you should be squatting on a weekly basis. It's honestly the best thing that you can do for your body in terms of building muscle and keeping your testosterone and your growth hormone, as well as your metabolism revving. So give that a shot. But yeah, thanks for the question, and I will check you next time. Thanks.